NewsTalk 710 KURV, audio on demand.
You're listening to The Drive Home on 710 KURV. Davis Rankin and Roxanne Garcia welcoming a couple of guests to the studio. They are from, I'm going to call them Border Patrol. Chris Seiler is the patrol agent in charge of the Special Operations Detachment, which is called what?
Well, it's BORTAC and BORSTAR.
All right.
And we're going to find out what those two are in a little bit.
And Hector Moreno is the commander of BORSTAR, Border Patrol Search and Rescue. I didn't even know they had a search and rescue aspect. I thought, which is one reason why we wanted to talk with these guys, I thought Border Patrol was really just the guys in the green uniforms, and that it went beyond, didn't go beyond that, but I was wrong. Roxanne?
These two have a persona, or just, you don't want to cross them. You two look like if anybody gets on your nerve, just by one stare in there.
How many guys you meet want to try you on for size, though?
If looks could kill, we would have been dead 20 minutes ago. I'm just saying.
I don't look at them. That's the first thing that they look for is the guy who won't look them in the eye. That's me. You think I'm laughing? How is it what you guys, I'm trying to think, where do people meet Border Patrol? Mm-hmm. Going to the airport, right? I'm going to go visit my sister. There's a bunch of guys standing around. It's 5:15 in the morning. If you're not, if you're not those guys, Chris Seiler, what is it you do? If that's not your job for the day, what is it you do?
So Border Patrol across the country is made up of 23,170 Border Patrol agents, scattered across the southwest border and across the northern border. Many of those are stationed at checkpoints and airports that you commonly come across them. But a majority of the agents are stationed directly along the southwest border. And that's the agents you come into contact on a daily basis.
There's two different units. Is that what they're called? BORSTAR and BORTAC. Is that what it is? Units? So, and I want to know the difference between the two. Mm-hmm.
So exactly, there's a small sect of the Border Patrol in Special Operations that is made up of BORTAC, which is the Border Tactical Team, and BORSTAR, which is the Border Search, Trauma, and Rescue Team. And it's a small group of guys with some different capabilities and special skills that regular agents don't necessarily have. So we can be called out for different emergencies or man-made disasters.
Your skill set's a little different than the average Border Patrolman.
So if I wanted to be in BORTAC or BORSTAR, I had to go through the Border Patrol process and then jump. So I can't just go straight into BORTAC or BORTAC or BORSTAR. How does the process work? That's correct. Everybody goes through a very strict hiring process, and then once you're a Border Patrol agent for a number of years, then you can try out for either of the selection courses for BORTAC or for BORSTAR, which are about 5 weeks long, extremely arduous, and have about a 75 to 80% fail-out rate.
Really?
Which makes these guys even more BA.
That's pretty impressive if you're taking 3 out of 10 or 2 out of 10. Do you know how many people who join Border Patrol because that's what they want to do, and then they get aware of, or maybe they were, of the opportunity for greater training, greater specialization than just riding around looking for people who are coming out of the river, whatever?
There's a lot of opportunities within the Border Patrol, and then again, a small sect of them want to do a different physicality about it. Of course, we have our intel units and our ATV and our horse patrol, lots of other different things that we can do, and this is just a different sect of people that want to be involved in this type of specialty, whether it be a tactical background or perhaps you're coming out of the military and you have a medical background or EMT background. So that's kind of who we're looking for and who we're targeting.
Do BORSTAR and BORTAC people, to compare them to Special Forces, the Special Forces thing that I've read is those guys are training all the time. They seem to train they're constantly training, or they're training for a mission. Do you guys have that kind of training regimen?
Of course. Much of our doctrine is based off the military and the DOD and what they do. We have a number of medals and training that we have to keep up with on a weekly basis. From on the BORSTAR side specifically, I'll let Hector discuss real quick what some of our real specialties are for the search, trauma, and rescue side of the house.
Definitely, like Chris was saying, BORSTAR's main mission is to conduct search and rescue operations in rural areas. But 5 main principles or 5 skill sets that they focus on are every member of this team is an EMT or paramedic.
Really?
Yes, sir. And we have an extenuous canine program that's trained. These canines are trained to track and trail, along with human remains detection capability. For example, last year when one of the spring breakers was lost, we utilized this capability, these dogs, to find them. I mean,
y'all were involved in that? Really?
Yeah, one of their canines ended up finding the spring breaker that was dead. I remember that.
Exactly. So along with that, we also have a swift water specialty. We're called upon all the time to respond to floods. We have a dive team here locally. Their main focus is to recover, evidence or property, sensitive property that is lost in the river. And then the HERS program, which is a helicopter rope suspension training that provides or allows us to rappel or fast rope off the helicopters.
Can you guys say, I guess, an average of how many times you deal with search and rescue, either a year or how often does it come around?
That's our everyday mission, day to day. We go to typically to Furious, where most of our we encounter.
My question.
Yes, sir. Most of our 911 calls are out of Brooks County.
Wow.
And
I talked to a rancher. He ranches near San Isidro, and he said there's some sand dunes north of there. I'm not sure where. And he said they call it the desert in Spanish. And he said, "Man, it's just white sands." And he said he feels sorry for it. He said he had to walk 5 miles back, and he said he was exhausted by the time he got back.
And what the smugglers do is they have no regard for the human life, for the people that they're smuggling. So they'll give them a small bottle of water and a little bit of food and tell them just to start walking north, and they won't tell them how far. And it can be middle of the day, through days through the sand.
Isn't
with
the trick
water.
To drop them off saying Houston's right over there?
Exactly. So these guys they'll be lost. They'll 911 calls, and it's very tragic for the people that are trying to cross.
How often do you guys deal with transnational criminal organizations?
On a daily basis. These people don't just come here by themselves. They're smuggled by these transnational criminal organizations or the cartels down south and here in the United States. There's a whole network of people out there that are bringing them from the river to stash houses in vehicles, through Falfurrias, up past the checkpoints, through Houston, and all the way to Chicago, New York, L.A. And
you think people? I don't think people really realize that the poor person who shows up wanting to cut your yard or whatever probably was trafficked by really bad people to get to the American border. Am I right or wrong?
Without a doubt. No regard for life, limb, anything. They're in it for the money. They're moving a product is what they're moving. They don't care if it's drugs or humans, and they don't care what happens to that as long as they make their dollar. And if they have a few die along the way, to them it's no big deal because the supply and the demand keeps coming.
Joining us on 710 KURV is Chris Seiler. Is that correct?
Correct.
And Hector... Moreno. I can't understand his handwriting. Sorry, Mr. Moreno. Talking about BORSTAR and BORTAC. Now, I remember I met you guys when I went to this Border Patrol Media Academy, and one of the questions I asked was, does every single sector have their own BORSTAR and BORTAC, or is it kind of like if something happens in Arizona, you guys get deployed over there, or how does that work?
Yeah, across the southwest border, we have very robust special operations capabilities, and right now across the northern border, they're standing up teams to have more BORTAC and BORSTAR people to protect the northern border. So it's a pretty robust program both on both.
So have you seen the different borders across our country? And I want to ask, I have it right here. What's the difference in operating in the Rio Grande Valley when we have a river compared to Arizona where it's desert and no fence?
Most BORTAC, BORSTAR, and Border Patrol agents, for that matter, have been deployed all across the country for all types of issues. The immigration problem moves. Years ago, it was in El Paso, then it moved to San Diego, then Arizona, and now, unfortunately, it's here in the valley. So lots of agents have been all over the place, and it's just it's different problems for different places.
The northern border doesn't have anything like this, though. Do they? And I know people infiltrate or people sneak in all the time, but you just never read about many illegal people coming across illegally in the northern border.
No, not so much. The southwest border is where the issue is.
Yeah.
Because you've been to so many different locations along our border, what do you think the Rio Grande Valley struggles with the most when it comes to securing our border down here?
Good question.
Some of the issues we have down here are the city centers are so close to the river, so it's very fast here as compared to Arizona. It's very fast. They come across the river, they get in vehicles, and they get
Hidalgo, Roma, Rio Grande, Brownsville, all right.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of refuge areas that are tough for us to get into. A lot of lateral roads. So there's some very difficult skill sets out here for the Border Patrol, which kind of impacts our infrastructure problems and how that is based as opposed to San Diego or Arizona, where there are fences and towers. And
one last question. There was one of the TV stations, I think, put a woman in Hidalgo on complaining that the people running through the street, coming out of the river and running through her street, running through her neighborhood, and it really bothered her. So do you guys just go pell-mell chasing that person, or do you now have to be trained in door-to-door combat?
The BORTAC guys, which is our tactical team, are the people that are trained more trained in the building entry and high risk entry. But agents every day go into some incredibly difficult, dangerous situations to try to arrest these people and to keep our communities safe.
I will never forget that one of the Border Patrol agents made me do this little mock trial y'all had, and I got so scared.
Trial?
Not mock trial, sorry, but what was it? An example? I had my little fake, the gun, the baton, and I had to pretend I was an agent, and my heart was beating so fast, and I grew to love you guys, and I'm not just saying that and grow a different respect, but it's so hard what y'all go through. But before we go, I do want to ask you guys two things. One, are y'all hiring? And two, if anybody does see any illegal activity out there and wants to report it but don't know who to call, can we y'all give a number out?
Of course, we are currently hiring. We have a pretty good attrition rate out there, but we are currently hiring. So please reach out to USA Jobs or a Border Patrol agent that you know to inquire on how to get hired. And of course, if there's bad people out there doing some terrible things to people trying to get here. So if you do see any illegal activity, please, I encourage everybody to report it. Yep. And the phone number to report any illegal activity is 1-800-863-9382. And we're just trying to make the community as a whole a better place.
800-863-9382, the number. If you see something weird that might involve the Border Patrol, give them a call, 800-863-9382. Hector Moreno with BORSTAR and Chris Seiler with BORTAC. Thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
You're listening to 710 KURV.